as I'm in this office, I will work so hard for the people of Embu, for the people of Kenya, kwa sababu mambo ya dunia, mambo ya ofisi, mambo ya uongozi ni mambo temporary.
Wenye nchi, how are you doing? How your day is going? I hope you're fine. How are you coping with the new fuel prices? Unatembea? Now, about a week and a half ago, the Deputy President Kithure Kindiki went to his backyard, that is Mount Kenya East, and he said something peculiar, something that raised questions and a lot of discussions. He said that his position is temporary, and we want to decipher this and try and dissect this one deeply, and probably find out why would he say something like that, and what does that mean for the 2027 presidential lineup. You know very well that broad-based brothers, that is ODM, had been pushing for the deputy president position. So is this a sign that Kindiki is sending that he is not guaranteed to be the running mate of William Ruto in 2027? Or is it just what he meant it, just that way, that it is temporary, just like everything else? And TV did that story. I want us to listen, then we talk about it.
Let's stay with politics, and Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has ignited speculation over his political future after hinting that he may not be guaranteed a slot as William Ruto's running mate in the 2027 presidential contest. Speaking at two separate events, including in his Mount Kenya East backyard, Kindiki described the DP office as temporary, emphasizing the need for unity among local leaders. He also said he has unconditionally forgiven his critics, remarks that are now fueling talk of a possible political truce with his predecessor, Rigathi Gachagua. Is this a caution or calculated repositioning? Our political affairs reporter, David Mudhoka, breaks down the signals.
With the 2027 general election in the horizon, a high-stakes scramble for the number 2 slot is emerging within President William Ruto's broad-based camp. From Deputy President Kithure Kindiki to Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi to ODM heavyweights including Oburu Oginga, Gladys Wanga and Ali Hassan Joho, all eyes are on who will ultimately make the cut. ODM in particular has raised the stakes, demanding nothing short of a 50% power share in any formal coalition with UDA.
Walisema ati mimi nilisema ati sisi hatutaki kiti cha deputy president. Hiyo kiti ya deputy president ndio tunalenga sana. Hiyo ndio tunalenga.
Kuna wengine nimeona wanaongea mingi. Wanasema ya kwamba hapa chini watu wanaweza basi kama mkilete mchezo sisi pia tutalete presidential candidate, watu wakutane kwa kiwanja. Usicheze na sisi bana.
What we are negotiating about is the presidency. Hapo tuko hapo na President William Samoei Ruto. Kwengine huku tutafinyana. Na jana niulizwa kama moto umewaka haujawaka ndio waja.
It is against this backdrop that Kindiki's remarks in the past 2 days, while in Embu and in his Tharaka Nithi backyard respectively, are now being scrutinized more closely, with some reading them as the words of a man coming to terms with a shifting pecking order.
So long as I'm in this office, I will work so hard for the people of Embu, for the people of Kenya, kwa sababu mambo ya dunia, mambo ya ofisi, mambo ya uongozi ni mambo temporary, ni mambo ya muda. Wakati utafika, hata sisi tutaondoka. So I don't want to waste my time the way some characters wasted their time.
Just days earlier, Kithure Kindiki appeared to send an even more cryptic message while in Tigania, West Meru County, extending an olive branch in what many read as a calculated political signal.
Mimi ni kiongozi, na kuna leo na kuna kesho. Na hata baada ya uongozi tutabaki hapa tukiwa jamii moja. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Kwa hivyo sina problem na viongozi. Hata wale wananitukana, mimi nimewasamehe. I have forgiven them unconditionally.
The remarks appeared largely directed at his predecessor Rigathi Gachagua's camp, igniting talk of a possible political truce between the two, despite months of frosty relations.
Na ule ananitukana ndugu yangu, mimi nimemsamea. I have forgiven him. Na mimi sitamtukana, mimi sitamjibu, mimi sitamtusi, kwa sababu mimi najua kama mzee wa Njori Ncheke uwezi tusi ndugu yako.
But how are political observers interpreting these back-to-back signals, particularly amid growing speculation that Kindiki could be edged out ahead of the August 2027 polls?
Then we hope that ODM, led by His Excellency Dr. Buru Oginga, now will be pushing for the position of number 2, which is the deputy president. And that ideally would put anyone in that position at shivers and would be like, then what next for me? And the realization starts sinking that this position is fleeting. I'm not here forever. So the earlier I accept the reality, the better for me.
The final call now rests with President William Ruto, who faces a classic political catch-22. Drop Kindiki and risk losing the entire Mount Kenya region, or keep him and risk complicating his association with the ODM party. In a game of numbers driven by loyalty and regional balance, the running mate decision could shape Ruto's 2027 path. David Muthoka, NTV, Nairobi.
Politics, politics, politics.
As always, we have to start with a story. And today is very short. There was a best man at a wedding who started behaving very strangely. Instead of hyping the groom like usual, he kept saying, marriage ni ya muda tu. Life changes, watu badilika. Tusameheane mapema. People started whispering, huyu anajua kitu sisi hatujui. Because why would a best man start talking like a man preparing for a breakup before the wedding even happens? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mount Kenya Politics 2026. Now let's look at the shift no one can ignore. Something has changed, and it's not loud, it's subtle, but very telling. The Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, a man who used to go hard on Rigathi Gachagua, has suddenly gone calm. No more attacks, no more counterpunches, no more chest thumping. Even when Gachagua throws jabs, Kindiki just smiles like a man who has already read tomorrow's newspaper. Let's look at what he actually said. In recent public appearances, especially in Mount Kenya East, in 2 different occasions, Kindiki said, the DP position is temporary. Leaders should focus on unity. He has forgiven his critics. And during the burial of David Kiarao in Nyandarua, even after Gachagua attacked the government, and him included, and the speaker and everybody, Kindiki didn't fire back, even when he came to talk after Gachagua. That's not normal in Kenyan politics. That's calculated silence. Let's look at, we have several interpretations of this. The interpretation 1 is that it might be the insurance policy theory. Let's not sugarcoat it. This could be a message to William Ruto, a very polite one. Kindiki might be saying, if you drop me, I won't go down alone. Because in Mount Kenya politics, loyalty is not permanent. Alliances shift fast, and numbers are everything. So by toning down on Gachagua, Kindiki could be keeping a back door open, just in case. This is like a player in a football team who starts greeting the opposing coach very nicely mid-season. Unajiuliza, huyu tayari ameanza trials. Then the second interpretation is reading the ground. Let's be real. Mount Kenya is not as solid for Ruto as it was in 2022. Facts on the ground. Rising cost of living complaints, tax fatigue among business class, growing political restlessness, Gachagua repositioning himself as a regional voice. And even to add more salt into the injury, there is a recent hike in fuel prices. Everybody is very sad not only Mount Kenya. So Kindiki might be seeing this and thinking, if the tide turns, I must not be seen as the enemy. Let's look at the Gachagua factor. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Rigathi Gachagua. Love him or hate him, he still commands emotional influence in parts of Mount Kenya. And more importantly, he speaks the language of the ground. Ndio maana party yake inaitwa Skiza Ground. So if Kindiki keeps attacking him, he risks alienating that base completely. But if he tones down, he becomes acceptable on both sides. That's political survival. The interpretation 3 is that it can be strategic immunity. There's another layer people are missing. Kindiki might be lowering his profile intentionally because in Kenyan politics, the louder you are, the easier it is to be removed. By appearing calm, forgiving, and confrontational, he becomes harder to justify. Dropping is like saying, why replace a peaceful man? But let's be brutal. This is not about forgiveness. This is not about unity. This is about positioning for 2027 survival. Because the biggest political risk right now is being left without a side, and Kindiki is making sure that never happens. Now, what might be the hidden chess move here? Here's the deeper insight most people are missing. Kindiki is no longer playing Ruto versus Gachagua. He's playing Ruto and Gachagua, keeping one as boss while not burning bridges with the other. That's not confusion. That's advanced political hedging. Now, the reality is, Mount Kenya voters are watching. Allies stand silent, rivals stand friendly, enemies become options, and they are asking who is actually standing for us. Because when leaders start preparing for all outcomes, it means they are not sure of the current one. Kindiki has not said he will be dropped. He has not said he will leave. He has not said he will join Gachagua. But his actions are saying one thing loudly: I am ready for any outcome. And in Kenyan politics, that is usually the first sign that something big is coming. If you enjoyed this analysis, subscribe to HiiStory, because here we don't just follow politics. We read between the silence. Bye.